Hey.
Yo, what is up, guys? This is James Carter TV, and I am honored to be joined by Louie Tee, who has graciously accepted my offer to come on my show to discuss the 2016 NFL Draft. We've done it before. We'll do it again each and every year. What is going on, Louie Tee?
Hey, man, what's going on, James? It's an honor to be up here on the show with you. We do this every year, man. It's a lot of fun, and I love the format that we're going with this year. So this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of people, it's funny because both of our YouTube careers have kind of skyrocketed over the years that we've been doing this, especially this
Yeah.
past year.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you guys, you're going to enjoy this. So with that said, let's get into it. First off, the big news, the Titans and the Rams,
Right.
we came together, made a blockbuster deal. I'm obviously a Tennessee Titans fan, as my fans know. The deal, the Tennessee Titans traded the number 1 overall pick, their 4th round pick, and their 6th round pick, all from this year, for the Rams' 15th pick, 43rd pick, 45th pick, 76th pick, I believe their 1st round pick of next year, and their 3rd round pick of next year as well. So big deal. Louie Tee, what were your takeaways from this trade? First, let's start with the Los Angeles Rams.
It was the irony here was it was amazing because just 4 years ago it was the Rams sitting in the Titans position with the opportunity to trade back, and they got King's ransom from the Redskins, and they saw how that whole situation turned out, and so you would think that they would be a little hesitant to get into something like this, but jobs are on the line, man. They're going to LA. Jeff Fisher just got a phony extension. It's been pretty much told to everyone involved, Les Snead, Jeff Fisher, look, you guys, we want to win, and we want to win now. This defense is ready to go. They got Todd Gurley at running back, and I think they realize that, look, the only thing holding us back right now is the ineffectiveness of our quarterback position. And so I've talked about this for years. If you don't have a quarterback in this league, you don't have a chance. They understand that. And so obviously they must be – the thing that's driving me nuts with them right now is – when you come up to number 1, you don't just come up and say, all right, well, we don't know which one of these guys we want. We just want one of these guys. You got to have a game plan. And now I hear that they're interviewing both of these guys again. Your mind should have already been made up. The minute you made this trade, it should have been with one particular player in mind. Like, there shouldn't be any more posturing or any more, hey, let's talk to this guy and see if he can jump and leapfrog the other guy. Which one do we like better? You should know exactly who you want. When you give up what they gave up to come up to number 1, it should be for a particular guy. You shouldn't have any ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so I hope they know exactly who they're taking already. But at the end of the day, I think it could be a win-win for both teams because, look, the Rams need a quarterback. And maybe you might not agree with the fact that they gave up what they did to come up in a draft where you may not think these two quarterbacks deserve to be one that you trade away all these picks and be the number 1 pick in the draft. But to me, you got to get a quarterback. You got to fix that problem. Case Keenum can't be your starting quarterback moving forward. They understand that, and they made the move.
First of all, when it comes to the Los Angeles Rams, I can't believe Jeff Fisher is still the head coach of this football team.
Yes.
I mean, it's absolutely absurd. I mean, how does this what was his 4th year that just passed, no playoffs. This guy went 7-9. Now he's desperate. Right. So he's trading for Carson Wentz and Les Snead as well. I mean, it's so funny how they were so happy. I mean, they were so cocky against the Redskins. They set out all the RG3 trade saying, hey, we won this trade. Look at all these players we got. And then now they're coming and they're saying, we don't care about that. Now we want to do the same thing. Right. Now, will they have different results? I don't know. Right. I like Carson Wentz. We're going to get into him in a second. Yeah. The thing is, I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, and I'm happy with this trade from our perspective. But from the Rams' perspective, I don't think it's that bad as some people are making it out to be. They've traded a 1st-round pick, their number 15 overall pick, 2 seconds. The trouble is the 2017 first, but honestly, I think really they've thrown away 1 draft, and that's not too bad for me. If this works out, no one's going to remember this. They got rid of a draft. I mean, it's not that bad. Right. The Redskins trade, that was pretty bad because you really threw away 3 drafts. Right. So there you have a problem. But if this can work out, if Carson Wentz can come in, be the starting quarterback that the Rams need and probably deserve at this point, No one's going to think back at this trade and say, oh, my God, look at all the stuff they gave up. But they're look back and they're going to say, look at the aggressive Los Angeles Rams, the big move that they made. Wow, this set up their franchise for years to come. Now, from the Tennessee Titans perspective, what do you think about this deal?
I love it for the Titans, man. I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better for this team because you look at this franchise and where they are, you see all of these different picks, 6 picks in the first 76 picks of this draft. They have the ability, and I really don't think they're going to make 6 selections. I think they're going to package together a couple of picks and try to move up. But at the end of the day, whether it's 4 players, it's 5 players, it's 6 players, they're going to really upgrade their roster this year. And I hear a lot of people talking about this draft isn't deep. I don't know what draft they're looking at. If you're talking about specific positions, maybe like receiver, no, it's not as deep as it was 2 years ago or even last year. But if you're talking about on the defensive side of football, which the Titans need a lot of help on the defensive side of the football, they're going to be able to upgrade their roster tremendously, leaps and bounds. I'm talking about impacting their franchise for the next decade. This could be, and I talked about this on my show, akin to the great trade robbery of '89 with the Cowboys and the Vikings when they traded Herschel Walker, got all those picks. That was the basis. That was the foundation of that Super Bowl run that they had in the early 90s to the mid 90s. If the Titans do this right, and I love what John Robinson has done coming in and making some of these moves. If the Titans do this correctly, they could ascend to the top of the AFC South, a down division that they could go in and in 1 year's time could go from worst to first. We saw the Redskins do it last year. It can be done. If they do this correctly, they could really shake things up in the AFC South division.
New Tennessee Titans general manager John Robinson came into this job in January, and he said he was going to do things different. And oh my gosh, he is doing things different. Now, he's been very good thus far, but the one thing you have to do is you have to draft well. Okay, yep. Now you have 6 picks in the first 76 picks. Great. Now you have to draft good players, and there's good players everywhere. I mean, as you're saying, this is a very deep draft. It's not very top heavy. Right. I think that's where 2017 draft will be very top heavy, and it's nice now to have a 2017 draft to be able to move up for Myles Garrett or someone like that. Okay, good. But as for this year, I mean, you're talking about guys like Kenny Clark, Austin Johnson. These guys, I think, are going to be Pro Bowlers, but they're going to fall because, well, they're nose tackles and the defensive lineman position is stacked in this draft. Okay, you pick a couple of them up or just one of them up. In that second round, it could be a really good long-time starter for your football team. You can take at 15 a Jack Conklin who can be your starting right tackle for years to come, and then you get to keep Taylor Lewan at left tackle. You can take at your third-round picks. You can still find starters there. I mean, so really, you're talking about finding football starters for this Tennessee Titans team, and they don't have a lot of true starters. I mean, they have guys that are starting because someone has to start, but not people that should actually have starter-level talent. So anyway, let's move on to this. Mm-hmm. The Rams, as you said, move up to number 1. They don't know who they're going to get. They don't know if they're going to draft Carson Wentz or Jared Goff. But when it comes to Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, who do you prefer among the two?
To me, it's not even close. It's Carson Wentz. I look at Carson Wentz, and I say he's the prototypical number 1 overall selection in the draft if you're talking about. And I'd take it a step further, and if you would –
I believe we might be having some technical difficulties right now, but it's all right. I can take things from here. So, to me, and I haven't talked about this on my channel because I was doing scouting reports for Carson Wentz, and I didn't do one for Jared Goff. But overall, I think when you look at Carson Wentz, he fits the prototypical build, as what Lou was going to say. He fits the prototypical build of what you look for in a franchise NFL quarterback. He has the arm. He has now the mobility, which is something that we look for in the 21st century quarterback. In terms of, I mean, this guy ran, I believe, a 4.6 something or 4.7 something on the combine. I mean, this guy can move. Jared Goff, I think he'll be fine. I think, but I'm not 100% sure on Jared Goff. I mean, I think this guy could absolutely come in the league, absolutely stink it up, bust it up. And I wonder what his upside is at the next level. While Carson Wentz, if you saw this kid's pro day, oh my goodness, Carson Wentz was absolutely throwing the ball around. This guy was looking like Andrew Luck out there during his pro days. Combine wasn't as impressive. But you look at the tape. He comes from North Dakota State. I mean, this is a college that isn't known for bringing a lot of great NFL prospects or facing teams with a lot of great NFL prospects, what have you. But, man, this guy absolutely dominated at North Dakota State. And you were able to see on film the type of traits that you want to see in your franchise quarterback. So, for me, it's Carson Wentz. Now, when some people talk about this quarterback draft class versus last year's quarterback draft class, I think last year's quarterback draft class is absolutely better. I don't think Carson Wentz and Jared Goff will be anywhere near as good as Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota were in their rookie seasons. I don't think down the road Carson Wentz and Jared Goff will be as good as Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston. Really quick, I'm going to try to get Lou back in here. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I will try to get him back in here. I'm stalling, if you can't tell right now. Let me call him back up. There are some technical difficulties every now and then, but we just have to roll right through them. Again, I think what has happened in this process that has been fascinating to watch is guys like Todd McShay and Mel Kiper and Mike Mayock, they've started this talk about, well, we think that Carson Wentz and Jared Goff can compare to Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston is the best prospect to come out since Andrew Luck. I mean, I don't think it's even close. When you could see this guy freshman year, his first game against Pittsburgh, this guy in the pocket, absolutely shredding defenses. I mean, absolutely dissecting defenses at the age of 19 years old, takes his team to a national championship, wins the national championship next year, has some interceptions, yes. But this guy's ability to just grow and improve, and always there are these transcendent elite players that, like Leonard Fournette right now, or Myles Garrett right now in college, like Andrew Luck, that when they go to the next level, you can already tell that, man, these guys are going to be special. And I had that feeling when it came to Jameis Winston from the get-go. Jameis Winston continues to improve, continues to grow. And a lot of you people, a lot of Tennessee Titans fans follow me. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan as well. I'm sorry. I'm still on the record. I think Jameis Winston is going to be a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota. Right now, I think it's close, but I think Jameis Winston is a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota. And you don't want to hear that because a lot of Tennessee Titans fans, they hate Jameis Winston for whatever reason. I don't know. This will be the determining factor between the two. Can Marcus Mariota or Jameis Winston win Super Bowls? I mean, that's going to be the difference. We're going to see them in the playoffs. I mean, that's going to come. And then when it comes, who wins in the playoffs, who wins Super Bowls, that will be the determining factor between the two. But when it comes to Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, unlike those two, one of them is going to be a bust. I mean, I think right now I'm willing to go on the record, either Carson Wentz or Jared Goff, one of them is going to be a bust. I don't think either of them are good enough for them both to succeed. This is going to be a classic case of number one, number two quarterback, one of them busts. That's what I believe from this draft class quarterbacks. Again, I'm going to try to get Lou back in here. I'm not quite sure what is going on with him right now. I'm going to try to get him back in here. Okay, so I've invited him yet again. With this said, let's move on to the next topic that we had at hand. What should the Browns do at number two? All right, so now the St. Louis Rams or the Los Angeles Rams have moved up to number one. The Cleveland Browns, we had believed, were going to take Carson Wentz with the number two overall pick. Now, the Rams don't know what they're going to do with the number one overall pick. Adam Schefter right now is reporting that the Rams are going to take Jared Goff. I hear other guys at NFL Network, they're saying the Rams are going to take Carson Wentz. So really, no one knows what's going on right now. I am of the belief only because I've tried to get information out of the Cleveland reporters. For those of you that follow Cleveland, Mary Kay Cabot, she's usually the best one to trust over there. She is saying that the Cleveland Browns are going to take the remainder of the two. But they have to fix this quarterback situation. That's what she's hearing. So who am I to come on here and saying that I have better sources than Mary Kay Cabot? There is also this possibility that the Browns may take Jalen Ramsey. The Browns may take Miles Jack. Now, I love Jalen Ramsey, and I'm on the record saying this. I think he's a great player. I think he's a fantastic player. That's who probably I would take. Again, although I am pretty high on Carson Wentz. So if Carson Wentz is there at number two and Jared Goff does go number one, then I'd probably take, oh, here we go. All right, I think he's coming back now. Yeah, he's back. There he is. I cannot hear you right now, though. Hello? Yeah, I'm having difficulties hearing you right now. This is odd. Yeah, I can't hear you. But anyway, as I was saying, hopefully just keep talking, and then like once I can hear you, I'll let you know. So anyway, moving on to the Cleveland Browns once again. Cleveland Browns sitting at number 2. I would probably take Carson Wentz if he's available. If Jared Goff is there, I'd probably go with Jalen Ramsey. I think Jalen Ramsey is going to be a Hall of Famer. I think you're looking at, and when it comes to a cornerback or safety, I think you're looking at a transcendent player at the position. When you look at guys like Patrick Peterson, these guys that were tall, athletic, blah, 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 Jalen Ramsey has all of these traits and more. And I don't know why people aren't looking at him as an elite cornerback prospect. And also combine that with the fact that there's not a lot of top elite talent in this 2017 NFL draft class, in this 2016 NFL draft class, like there's going to be in 2017 with Leonard Fournette, with Myles Garrett. I think you have to consider, more than consider, taking Jalen Ramsey to be a lockdown defender in your secondary for years to come, because the Cleveland Browns, they're going to have a big problem when it comes to their talent level on their football team. I mean, the 5 good players they had left. Yes, I can hear you now. All right, Lou is back. He's good. He's very good to go. Let me finish my thought real quick, then I'll let you go. You have to consider for the Cleveland Browns, right now, the 4 good players we had are pretty much gone. We're left with Joe Thomas, who's getting older. We're going to have to start accumulating talent once again. I would love to see them trade down. I think the Philadelphia Eagles could want to trade up. I think the San Francisco 49ers could try to trade up. But if they decide to stay there, I think it's Carson Wentz if he's available. If Jared Goff is available, I would prefer to take Jalen Ramsey. But Lou, what do you think the Cleveland Browns should do at number 2?
I mean, if they could trade back, that'd be great. I look at the Browns, and much like you've already said with them, they need talent, man. Their roster is deprived of talent. They don't have a lot going for them right now. And I look at Sashi Brown and the whole analytics thing and what he's got going on, and they're cutting guys and they're trying to get younger. And they're in a really tough spot because they got a lot of work to do. I feel bad for Hugh Jackson, to be honest with you, because he doesn't have a lot to work with. And the looming Josh Gordon situation doesn't help, because if he were to come back, it would at least give their offense a little shot in the arm. Who knows if he's going to get reinstated or not. If I'm the Browns at 2, Joe Thomas isn't getting any younger. You just let Mitchell Schwartz walk away in free agency. If any quarterback's going to have a chance, that includes Robert Griffin III, you're going to need to give them an opportunity to be successful. So if they took Laramie Tunsil, I wouldn't have a problem with that. If they took Jalen Ramsey, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Look, they've got guys up there at the top of the draft that are can't-miss prospects for the most part. So in my mind, you just take one of those guys and you try to build around them. They're not going to beat anybody 16-19. They're not beating anybody, with defense yet. I don't think they're good enough to do that. So if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm looking to try to build this offense. And so I would take Laramie Tunsil. But if they decided to take Jalen Ramsey, I wouldn't have a problem with that either, because they need talent. It really doesn't matter where it is at this point. They just need to acquire talented football players. They don't have enough of those guys on their football team right now.
Yeah, that's definitely the problem there with the Cleveland Browns. And I'm actually we have to see what happens when they go on the football field, but I'm a little disappointed in Hugh Jackson. I thought he was going to come bring a winning mentality to Cleveland, but right now it just seems like the plan is a little odd and suspicious right now. But we'll see how things look on the field in 2016. Now, Lou, who is your favorite prospect in this NFL draft? Who do you think, if you had to bet your life on, is going to be the best player when we look back on this draft 3, 5, 10 years to come?
Health is always the key with that question. If all guys are healthy, all things considered, if they're healthy, it would have been Jalen Smith for me if he was healthy.
Wow.
But if we're talking about the guys that are healthy, that we feel like are going to be healthy going into the draft, it would be Miles Jack for me. I look at Miles Jack, and he just does so many different things on the football field. There's a number of positions that you could put him at, a number of different situations you can put him in, and he will flourish just because of his, elite athleticism and his innate ability to adapt to his surroundings. He's a guy that he kind of defies a system, if you will, because it really doesn't matter what system you play, 3-4, 4-3, he can fit in. He's a guy that is very malleable and he can adapt to his surroundings. So you can put him over the slot. He can check any running back out of the backfield. I saw this guy running 40 yards step for step with wide receivers down the field. This guy's a freak. He's explosive. He runs through ball carriers. He doesn't miss a lot of tackles. I really like what Miles Jack brings to the table. The only reason I would have put Jalen Smith over him is because Jalen Smith, a lot of people don't know this, but that guy, if you just told him, all right, you're an outside linebacker in the 3-4 defense, go hunt the quarterback, he can get you double-digit sacks. He's that good a pass rusher as well. So if Jalen Smith is healthy, he comes back healthy, I'd love to see what he could do for some team. But right now, because I don't know what he's going to be, I'd go with Miles Jack.
Yeah, for me, and I've been on this and on this and on this, I'm sure people are sick of hearing me talk about him, but it's Jalen Ramsey yet again. When you look at this guy and his ability, I've talked about it, so many of his abilities, but his ability to get after the quarterback.
Yeah.
To come off the edge as fast as he does, he showed his world-class athleticism at the combine. This guy could go into the Olympics if he wanted to as a long jumper. This guy jumped out of the building. Mm-hmm. When you look at his football acumen, some people question his ball skills. I don't. I know there are questions when you look at the 3 interceptions, but there weren't too many times where I said he should have intercepted that. There were probably twice. Once against Oregon in the Rose Bowl 2014, and then another time when he was facing, I believe, Syracuse or someone of that ilk. Or maybe it was Notre Dame, actually. It was Notre Dame. But overall, I saw his ball skills at the pro day, at the combine. I'm sure they're fine. This guy was jumping out of the building and catching passes over his head. I think they're absolutely fine. I think when you look at just as a quarterback prospect, I think he's the best quarterback prospect to come out for a while. And if I had to bet my money on anyone on this draft being good or being great, being a Hall of Famer, I'm betting on Jalen Ramsey. Now, who do you think are some sleepers in this 2016 NFL draft? I want you to name 3 for me.
Okay. The first guy that comes to my mind as a sleeper in this draft is a defensive tackle out of Notre Dame, Sheldon Day. A lot of people talk about Sheldon Rankins as, a poor man's Aaron Donald. I don't see it. But you want me to tell you who is a poor man's Aaron Donald? It would be Sheldon Day. Just think about this. At the combine, this guy did the conversion drills. We're talking about a 295, 300-pound defensive lineman doing linebacker conversion drills just because he can, because he's that athletic. That's Sheldon Day in a nutshell. Very quick twitch athlete, very, very explosive off the snap. He's a guy that I think if he gets with the right team, right coaching staff, this is a guy you can coach up to go into the interior of your offensive or defensive line and get you 7.5, 9.5, even maybe double-digit sacks. He's that disruptive of a football player, and I think he's only going to get better as time passes on. I look at, and this is a guy that frustrates me to no end because he's already gotten into trouble off the field leading up to the draft, and I don't really know the situation and the circumstances surrounding his situation. I just hope it's not as bad as it sounds, but I'm tight end out of Western Kentucky, Tyler Higbee for me is another guy that I really am enamored with watching him on tape. You look at him, and Hunter Henry is everyone's consensus number 1 tight end. I'm not here to argue with that. But I think right behind him at number 2 is Tyler Higbee out of Western Kentucky. I look at him. He's so athletic. He catches the ball. He makes it look easy. There's good run after the catch with him. And I actually think he's not a great blocker, but he's willing to block. And I think if he can get coached up on the finer points of blocking, I think that's something else he'll be able to get better at as time passes on. But if you're looking for a guy to come in and give a shot to your arm or your offense, a shot in the arm, catching a football, being able to split a guy out, having him actually be able to line up, tight to the line in the traditional Y tight end mode. This guy can do it all, and I love what he brings to the table. And then another guy at the running back position is Daniel Lasco out of Cal. He's a guy that not a lot of people are talking about, and his biggest problem is health. He's always been banged up. Even going back to his days at Cal, he's always banged up. He's not a guy that stays healthy. And there are a number of guys like that. I look at Kenyon Drake out of Alabama, another guy that's extremely explosive, can catch the football out of the backfield, that can run. We saw what he did in the national championship game with the kickoff return for a touchdown. He brings so many different things to the table, but he's never healthy. Same thing with Daniel Lasco, but Lasco was the best at the combine in the agility drills. He was the best at the combine on the bench press, and he was one of the fastest backs at the combine as well. So you know that you're getting an explosive athlete. He can catch the football out of the backfield. He just needs to stay healthy.
All right, for me, and I was talking about this earlier, my infatuation with the defensive tackles in this draft. I want to start with Austin Johnson out of Penn State. This is a guy that I believe will be a really, really good long-term starter at nose tackle for an NFL team for years to come. And the funny thing is with a lot of these offensive tackles like he and Vernon Butler and Kenny Clark, they're going to find their way in the second round. They're probably going to be drafted. But, man, these guys are long-term starters in the NFL. And if you're talking about can you take this guy and can he start for me, can he clog up the nose for my football team for years to come, definitely Austin Johnson is that. I look at Sterling Shepard out of Oklahoma.
Oh, I love that guy.
Doesn't have the size a lot of teams want, but, man, this guy can give you production. I think if you're a team that is looking for maybe not a number one, but a good number two, a really good number two wide receiver that can get 1,000 yards per season, I wouldn't be surprised. Take Sterling Shepard, and you will not regret it. And then number 3 for me isn't much of a sleeper anymore because people finally caught on that. That is Kamala Correa out of, I believe, Boise State. He showed up at the combine. He was my well-kept secret, but now people know about him. He had really good production at Boise State. Looks like a prototypical pass rusher, 3-4 outside linebacker. Get after the quarterback at that outside linebacker position. Definitely like Kamala Correa. Now, who are 3 guys that you are not as high on as everyone else? I don't want to say just guys that are overrated because I don't believe people are necessarily overrated, but guys that you just aren't as high on as everyone else.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every year, I'm not afraid to say it. A couple of years ago, I was not down with the groupthink on C.J. Mosley, and I was one of the people to speak out and say, he's not as good as everybody says. He turned out to be as good as everybody said, but I'm not afraid of going against the grain. I look at Sheldon Rankins, and I already kind of mentioned him. I don't see what everybody else sees. I watched at least 6 or 7 different games, and I'm like, what's the big fuss about this guy? I don't see – everybody was talking about – and I think the Senior Bowl was what really did a lot for his draft stock, and he looked explosive at the Senior Bowl, but I didn't see that translate to the field. So I have my apprehension about Sheldon Rankins, and someone's going to take him in the first round, and we'll see if he's as good as advertised. I'm not buying the hype. I need to see more on him, and maybe I just need to watch more tape and watch it again. Maybe he's a guy that grows on you and you appreciate him more as you watch him more, but I wasn't sold on him. Another guy along the defensive line, this is a deep defensive line draft. I'm not an A'Shawn Robinson guy. Why does it I'll take Jaron Reed over him if you ask me. If you're talking about the Bama boys, everybody's A'Shawn Robinson. I don't see it. I don't know what everybody's looking at. I don't know where all these plays that everybody claims he's making. Or I know they like his size. He's 6'5". He's a big, long, athletic guy. I just don't see it with A'Shawn Robinson. So he's another guy that I just don't know why everyone has first round written all over him. I know this much. My Washington Redskins better not select him in the first round. I do know that. And the other guy that I'm hearing a lot of, and he's not a first round pick, may not even be a second round pick, but everyone's riding this wave that Mike Mayock started. And I'm here to tell everybody, hey, get off of this wave before it crashes and hits the surface. It's Miles Killebrew at safety. I don't see it. He was at the combine, and I throw a lot of the combine 40 times out of the window. These guys are tired. They drag them through the mud throughout that whole entire process. Normally, though, fast guys run fast. So if you're a 4.3, a 4.43 guy like he has run at Southern Utah, then you would expect him to run something comparable at the combine, not a 4.6 flat or whatever he ran. But okay, jump 38 inches invert leap. You see the 10-2 broad. You say, okay, this guy's explosive. I go turn on the tape. I don't see it. Okay, and I think he is a 4.43 guy. You don't get that kind of explosion, and then it doesn't correlate to it in a straight line. But I didn't see the speed there on tape. I don't like him in coverage at all. He does not wrap up when he tackles. He's looking for the kill shot at all times. There, to me, are a lot of holes in his game, and I'm just not feeling Miles Killebrew.
Yeah, actually, I'm with you pretty much on all three of those. A'Shawn Robinson, I mean, I turned on the film. I was expecting to see big plays from this guy. Didn't see anything. Came to the combine, looked like any average Joe. Yeah. If you would have told me that this guy was a top 12 pick, and I would just came in, I would have said, well, okay, this guy's maybe a fourth-round pick just because of his size. But then I don't know where this hype train came from. Right. Now, I'm going to be a little more controversial. I'm going to start with Ezekiel Elliott. I don't get it. I'm sorry. This guy does not possess. This guy does not possess, to me, any elite traits at the running back position. He's a guy. I mean, I think he may come in the league, maybe get 1,000 yards just because he gets enough carries. But he's not a Todd Gurley, an Adrian Peterson, a Jamal Charles, where there are certain elite traits that he has. You can give him the ball. He's going to take you to victory. He's a nice compliment if you have a good quarterback. If you have a good quarterback, then you can afford to take this guy. Okay, we'll have a nice maybe 1,000-yard runner if we give him enough carries, but not a guy that I'm going to spend a top 10, top 15 pick on. I'd probably spend maybe a second rounder on this guy, honestly, for me, because I don't think he's going to lead your team anywhere. I think he's just a compliment. If you have a good quarterback, you have a good passing game, then you can take this running back. But if I'm taking a running back in the first round, he needs to be able to put up big points for my football team because we probably have a bad quarterback. Now, my next player, I kind of struggle with this one a little bit because there's not too many guys. This guy isn't too overrated. I think people get it, but that's Robert Nkemdiche. This guy's lazy. He's lazy. I think he's stupid. This guy jumped off of a roof, whatever. I wouldn't even draft this guy. Honestly, I wouldn't even draft him. I think he's undraftable. And I think you're seeing with these clowns, we've seen it for years, but definitely with these clowns like Josh Gordon and Johnny Manziel, these clowns don't learn. They habitually involve themselves in these ridiculous things, even if it's not their fault. Johnny Manziel was in a car accident yesterday. He's riding shotgun. But it's just like, dude, I know this wasn't your fault, but why are you always in trouble? Why is there always something with you? Like, you can't just, I don't know, be at home on a Saturday, watch some NBA basketball or something. There's always something with this guy. And I feel it's going to be the same story with Robert Nkemdiche. And finally, I think it's slightly overrated as Vernon Hargreaves III. I don't think he is a number one corner in the NFL. I think he's a nice, scrappy number two corner, a guy that you can have and note that, okay, he'll be good in coverage, but I think, man, he's going to get thrashed by Julio Jones. I mean, this guy's going to get thrown around by Odell Beckham, by these elite wide receivers. They are just going to tear this kid up. I don't think he's strong enough. He's physical, but I don't think he's strong enough. I don't think he's tall enough. I don't think he's very fast. I think Julio Jones and the really A.J. Green, Antonio Brown, they're just going to rip this guy to shreds. Is he a first-round pick? Sure, probably late first round for me, but I'm not that high on Vernon Hargreaves. I think he's a number two corner. I know you're going to have some disagreements, so go ahead. Go ahead and tell me your disagreements.
I disagree with all three of your guys. Now, Nkemdiche, I will give you that this guy doesn't get it. Like, he's a clown. And I was so disappointed with him at the combine because he's throwing guys under the bus. Like, yeah, Laramie Tunsil was in my room. What are you talking about? Keep my name out your mouth, man. What are you doing? So I get the Nkemdiche thing, and I still think he's an elite talent. I think he's gonna go in the first round still to Seattle, if believe it or not. But because I think that's a place where you take a guy like that. They've had guys like that in the past, and they're able to get through to those type of players somehow, some way. But with Ezekiel Elliott, I think the reason why everyone is on his train is because he's a complete back. Generally, You don't get complete backs out of college football. Guys that can block, pass pro day one. He's the best pass protecting running back we've seen come out in the draft probably in the last 5 to 7 years. You don't really get that combination of a guy that can pass pro, that can play all 3 downs, can catch the football. No, I agree with you. There's not one trait that jumps off the page at you. He's not blazing fast. He doesn't make guys miss in the secondary. He's not going to run anybody over. He's just really good with everything that he does. But I think it's the complete package that everyone is overwhelmed by. The fact that he can block on 3rd downs, he can catch it on 3rd downs, and on 1st and 2nd downs, if you give him a hole, he can take 3-yard gains and turn them into 6-yard gains. I don't know if he's necessarily a home run hitter, but we'll find that out at the next level. I think everyone just loves the complete package that is Ezekiel Elliott. And with Vernon Hargreaves III, I absolutely love Vernon Hargreaves III. Wow. He's scrappy. He's everything. I think he's Brent Grimes 2.0. And the reason I like Vernon Hargreaves III is because I think he plays the game with the level of tenacity. The one thing that I worry about him with, he does not possess long distance speed. So if he gets beat off the line of scrimmage, and like you said, like a Julio Jones, don't press him. If you're Vernon Hargreaves III, you can't press Julio Jones. You're not physical enough to do that. So you got to know your limitations. But if you're checking an Odell Beckham, I'd say you come in his face, but you don't lay hands on him and you get ready to press and bail, because if a guy like him gets behind him, he doesn't have the speed to make up the difference in that ground that you see with the elite corners like a Patrick Peterson, like a Joe Hayden, where these guys can come off the pace even though they get beat off the line of scrimmage initially. He doesn't have that, so he just has to be careful. But if you're talking about a guy making plays on the football, he's got elite ups like a Brent Grimes. So I remember a pick Brent Grimes had against the Detroit Lions, against Megatron in the end zone, where he went up and he took the football. Vernon Hargreaves possesses that same ability to go climb the ladder and make plays on the football. So I don't worry about him. His feistiness, his physicalness, his toughness, those are all things that I think are going to shine through when he gets to the next level. I just worry about him staying healthy because he's so physical. He's so aggressive. A lot of people liken him to Joe Hayden. I just hope he's not as injured as Joe Hayden has been throughout his NFL career.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this 2016 NFL Draft preview and analysis. Thank you, Lou, for joining us today. No problem, again, guys, go subscribe to Louie Tee. His channel link will be in the description box below. Do you have any closing words?
No, this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm doing a draft party on my channel live during the 2016 NFL Draft for the first 2 days of the draft. So if you want to watch the draft and actually comment live as the picks are being made and give your analysis and join me as I give mine as well, and we can go back and forth and chat, please join me if you're out there watching this channel, because a lot of the viewers that I have on my channel, I share them with James as well. So I'm pretty sure a lot of your subscribers are probably already subscribers to my channel. But if not, and you're looking for a place to watch, if you're going to watch it at home and you're not doing anything, come on YouTube, check me out live. I'll be having a draft party on my channel.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And until next time, James Carter TV, I'm out. Peace.